All right, Shay. So Edward,
Ooh,
he's picking LSU to win it all. This is actually not the first time I've heard someone, make this prediction, Shane. The expectations sky high under Brian Kelly, and he exceeded the expectations year one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sitting here saying that I'm predicting LSU to win the national championship, but it's not really that far-fetched, is it?
No, I mean, no, it's not. I think they were further along last year than we expected, especially toward the tail end of that season. But, when I look at that team, I see an improved offensive line. I see an improved defense. Quarterback improved. I mean, short of the wide receivers, I guess maybe that's one of the arguments. The special teams, you better pray to God that they're better, and if they could put all that together, man, that's a perfect recipe. You made it to an SEC championship last year. How can you not win it all this year? So, yeah, I am high on LSU myself.
Now, on the other end of the spectrum, I got more LSU thoughts in just a second here, Shane, but I want to kick it over to Tanner from Morristown, Tennessee. That's where I come from.
That's right.
Tennessee
That's where I ate
fans.
lunch, or just ate lunch. Me and him, we vented over this, talking about how bad LSU's going to be.
Tanner's a Tennessee fan. He's trying to figure out why in the heck are so many people, us included, high on LSU. Let's kick it over to Tanner.
Hey guys, it's Tanner from Morristown, Tennessee. I'm just curious, why are we so high on LSU? I know they're returning Jaden Daniels, and he did good, but from a Tennessee fan, I just think about last year, how we went to Death Valley and whooped them. It's kind of hard for me to, get behind this LSU train the way that everybody else in the country seems like they are. So, if y'all don't mind just, kind of explaining it for me, I don't know. I'm kind of second-guessing them a little bit. I don't think they're going to be as good compared to Georgia or Tennessee. But that's just me. I don't know. Maybe that's just, as Cousin Shane will say, me bleeding orange, but I don't know. But y'all keep it up.
All right, Shane. So I just thought this was a great question because, hey, he's got a perfectly, logical sentiment here. Tennessee whooped them down in Baton Rouge. I mean, it was not even a competitive game, I would say. I mean, Tennessee basically dominated it from the opening kickoff.
Yes and no, Mike. And I mean, if you go back to that game, obviously scoreboard, you're going to say the Vols just killed LSU.
Right.
But you got to remember, this is early LSU. There was a tale of two halves with this team, and this was a team that felt like when Tennessee was playing, just quite didn't have their shit together. There was flashes, there was moments where you're like, they're about to get back into this, only to find out, maybe a gamble that Brian took. He took a lot of gambles during this game, and they really, every one of them just about came back and bit him. So if you circle back around and watch that game, again, there were flashes, there were moments, and those moments got corrected throughout the season. So I guarantee you this right now, Mike, if Tennessee would have played LSU the final week of the year, I'm not saying LSU would have beat them, but I'm saying it would have been a better game. It definitely would have been played at night, because the LSU, buzz was going, and they would have flexed this thing to a night game, and who knows what would have happened. But yeah, this was a team that just grew up in front of our eyes.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said, Shane. And, you got to go back to last season. Tennessee was so efficient on offense that they were forcing opponents to basically get out of where their comfort zone, because they knew, unless they were playing Georgia's defense, they knew Tennessee was going to put up 35 minimum. I mean, they were averaging damn near 50 points per game. So you can't be conservative. You got to go for it. You got to force the issue. Fourth down is all, unless it's fourth and long or you're deep on your own side, you almost have to go for it, because Hendon Hooker and those receivers and running backs and offensive line, they're going to put points on the board. So you had to play them different. But I do want to say this, because Tanner, I don't think he would have any idea of this, Shane, because he's a Tennessee fan. He probably doesn't cover or follow LSU that closely. But Brian Kelly took a ton of heat after that game, Shane, and the main reason why, Harold Perkins, they did not play him hardly at all in that Tennessee game, and he come out later and said, well, you know, we just weren't comfortable putting him on the field with the way Tennessee runs their offense. And, man, the fans, the media, they destroyed him for that, and he wisely made a correction. And if you don't know Harold Perkins, and again, Tennessee fans, maybe they've not caught enough of him yet, I do not think it's that bold a comment to say he could be the best player in college football. Like, he is that caliber of an athlete, off the edge, linebacker for LSU. They unleashed him. That was the key difference in beating Alabama, in my opinion. He basically single-handedly won them the Arkansas game.
Yeah.
He is just a monster, and he's only a sophomore. So that's one of the reasons that I'm so high on LSU. And I think Jaden Daniels, Shane, I think we cannot underestimate the progression a quarterback can make in a year or two of the same system. Remember, he transferred in, and he was great at times last year. It took a little while to get going, but I think if he takes that year two jump, he could be the best quarterback, not only in the SEC, but in the entire country. And heck, Shane, if it doesn't work out with him, we probably got the best backup quarterback in the SEC in Garrett Nussmeier. So I'm fully confident that we got a strong quarterback room there in Death Valley. They've returned 81% of the offensive production. That's number 2 in the entire SEC. That's another reason to like them. Defensive lineman Mason Smith, they were saying all fall camp, this guy's far and away our best player. He was lost for the season in the season opener. He hurt his knee against Florida State. He's back to 100%. So you're adding that to the defense. They may have the best offensive line in the SEC, Shane. They had to start 2 true freshmen at the offensive tackle position. It was a train wreck to start, but by the end of the year, that thing was a strength. So those guys are just sophomores now. That's another reason I like them. Number 2 transfer portal class in the entire country, LSU signed. And you got to remember, this is not like some roster that's depleted and they need all these game breakers, but they were able to add some depth, some experience via the transfer portal, including Omar Spates, who I hear is one of the best linebackers in the Pac-12. Now he's sitting there next to Harold Perkins. He was a team captain for Oregon State, which won 10 games last year. They added a all-SEC freshman, Denver Harris from Texas A&M, to hopefully lock down the number 1 corner spot. There is just a lot to like about LSU. And I would even say, Shane, their opener against Florida State, I think that is the perfect type of game to make sure that your team is not, reading their press clippings. If they come out and open against Southeast Louisiana, whatever, they would maybe not be as focused as they would be opening the season in Orlando against a Florida State team that some are billing as a top 10 opponent. I think that's the perfect recipe to keep his team locked in all off season. I'm very high on LSU.
Apparently, just crown them, Mike. Crown them already. Jeez, you big LSU homer. No, you made some good points.